Am I the only one who's noticed something different about TV lately? There's a notable lack of crime. The Bear, Severance, and every other mainstream show at the moment is separating itself from the crime genre. It's been happening ever since early 2023, when both Snowfall and Better Call Saul were finished airing. To understand why, we have to go back to the beginning. This show sucks. Okay, maybe a little further. In the 20th century, TV was about fucking bullshit? Who knows? TV was about nothing. 1999. TV is finally about something. Murder. The Sopranos drops. This is huge. We got our first true, morally gray prestige TV protagonist. Well, actually it was Frank Pembleton from Homicide, but we'll talk about that another time. Sopranos started the trend, and that's what matters here.
Yeah.
It broke the mold for the TV medium as a whole. Instead of watching the main character bumble around cracking jokes the whole show, we could watch him do absolutely unforgivable, heinous acts, all from the comfort of your own living room, or the comfort of hiding in your bathroom on your laptop like 15-year-old me. TV would truly never be the same. Give it a few years, and a bunch of other morally gray TV protags are popping up. 2 decades pass, and at this point, we've been welcomed to most of the greats of this era. But all these characters have one thing in common. They're nearly all in crime shows. Technically, you don't need to be a crime show to have a morally great protagonist, but they all seem to. However, today I can barely name a single prestige show airing that's crime-related, even ones without morally questionable protagonists. Crime's dominance over the TV industry has seemingly faded away. So why now of all times has morally great TV's connection to the crime genre been severed? Well, first we should consult Socrates. The one true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. Alright, video over. I guess we'll never know. I was merely joking. I'll answer the question. Before we get started, let's go over what I categorize as a prestige crime show. Prestige basically just means the show has to be of quality, not any of those boring-ass network crime melodramas. They have to be a story either led by or chased by law enforcement. The main characters commit crimes as a part of their lifestyle, and there's usually an investigation plotline here or there. Let's start by answering, why did nearly all morally great TV protagonists originate in crime shows? Even though I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Crime was always a popular genre. It had unlimited potential. What this era of TV did was actually unlock that potential. Crime was an illustrious bay of gray morality, and networks and artists alike took full advantage of that. I think crediting this solely to The Sopranos is naive. It was the one to break the mold, sure, but any experimental show can pop off for a bit. The difficult part is making your unique style work in other shows. The Shield, Dexter, and shows of the like that followed and pushed what was possible in the crime genre deserve just as much credit. However, even if shows had morally gray protagonists, the protag wasn't always the point of interest. Who watched The Wire to see McNulty? Not me. Shows framed on a more overarching narrative would start to pop up here and there, and they skyrocketed to success. These would be The Wire, Succession, Game of Thrones, and shows of that sort. These were less about a character committing horrible deeds and more about understanding how systemic those horrible deeds could really be. I think this is a great example of TV migrating away from crime. It was popularized by a crime show, something to capture people's attention, and then it branched out. If I were to guess why crime has always been such a go-to for studios and audiences alike, I'd say it's because it was easy. Crazy concept to hook the average viewer, enticing enough protagonist archetype to keep them watching, enough characters to pad runtime with side plots, and if you had talented enough people working for you, you could really make something special. It was a recipe for success in a time when networks were hungry for it. Even though no new prestige crime TV seems to be coming out, it's more relevant than ever. People on every platform, every side of life are falling in love with the likes of Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, Mr. Robot, and other crime shows, yet we aren't getting any more. Why wouldn't services capitalize on it? The short answer is, they are. Thanks to streaming services, they don't make any more or less money on a show that's 20 years old compared to one they just released, except for the fact they have to spend exorbitant amounts of money marketing their new shows, while the old ones, even though they still receive a decent amount of marketing, are mostly already renowned worldwide. Alongside profiting off of prior successes, it's also a constant bidding war over which popular show X streaming service is going to get next. The built-in audience alongside the completely non-existent production costs make old shows even more valuable to services than new ones. If old hits continue to perform well and benefit their given streaming services, why would they need to try and imitate that success when they can make new shows with more modern concepts? Also, goddamn streaming prices have gone up. I swear, the less TV becomes about crime, the more real-life crime you have to commit to watch it. We've talked about the current TV landscape from the perspective of crime shows, but we haven't actually discussed the current TV landscape itself. What was so conceptually innovative that they abandoned the very genre that pushed TV to the mainstream in the first place? The answer is the mundane show. If The Sopranos started the character-driven prestige show, the mundane show is an extension of that, bar the criminal element. It's weird because you'd expect modern mundane shows to take their formula from others in its own genre, but instead shows like Succession and The Bear take more heavily from The Sopranos and The Wire than anything else. The best way to describe this new genre is if 6 Feet Under felt like The Sopranos. The first to do this was Mad Men back in 2007, but that was more of a singular instance. The mass dissolution of crime and gray protagonist-driven shows would begin much later with Succession. Succession is the perfect gateway into the mundane show, and that's because it really isn't mundane at all. It's about horrible people doing horrible shit to each other for 4 seasons, yet it's never really a crime show. Sure, the characters commit their fair share of crimes, but the criminal element that was previously so prevalent in shows of this style seemingly ceased to exist. The next addition to this was The Bear. This time they completely threw away crime and went all in on the mundane. An entire show centered around some dude making a shitty restaurant not suck ass. Yet, it's some of the most immersive TV out there thanks to the immaculate character focus. It became one of, if not the single most successful show in the last few years. Both of these shows function like the crime shows before it, yet they aren't crime shows themselves. Have we really just gotten bored of crime? Why is the current TV landscape the way it is? I mean, personally, I prefer it. I love character-focused writing, but TV isn't particularly geared toward people of my taste, but to the taste of the mass population. So the question lies, why do studios and the average Joe agree with critics like myself? Why are they okay with this? Why are they funding this? The answer is actually pretty simple. It works for everybody. It's less controversial for studios, it's more character-focused, which audiences tend to prefer, and it's more minimal, which means less continuity errors and more reliance on symbolic character work. Good for critics. Crime shows like Sopranos, The Shield, The Wire, and so forth showed the possibility of TV as an art form, and more importantly as a reliable stream of income for studios, and ultimately they realized people watch for the characters over the concepts. Succession was really the modern breakout show for this, but The Bear solidified it. So why isn't TV about crime anymore? I think the easiest answer would be that TV just doesn't need it anymore. Crime was a way for TV to stand out, to be interesting, but now, since people understand TV and what makes it appealing, crime is no longer needed to hold everything together. And no, we haven't gotten bored of crime. We love to go back and appreciate crime TV at its peak, but that peak is over now. They've drained the last ounce of water they're getting out of that well, so they're drilling a new one. TV was never bound by the crime genre, it was lifted by it, and now it's high enough to fly on its own until eventually passing the wings to whatever comes next. Personally, I think this is a great thing. Not anything is wrong with crime shows. All of my favorite shows are crime shows. However, the fact that even studios are recognizing that character work is more crucial than concepts is certainly a step in the right direction. Thank you for watching. I'm not sure what my subscriber count is at the moment because I'm recording this before the video is over, but thank you for the support lately, and this video took me way longer than I thought it was going to. I just procrastinated for a long time. Thank you for watching, and hasta la vista. Shows framed around a more overarching narrative would start to pop up here and there, and they skyrocketed success. Shows framed around a more overarching narrative would start to pop up here and there, and they skyrocketed to. Why can't I say that? And they skyrocketed to.